We lack an understanding and awareness of what mental illness is, that we're reluctant or ashamed to admit it, and that mental illness is highly stigmatized.
This is stigma at its worst. This is stigma that discriminates, and this stigma is everywhere. It's in the media, it's in the words we use, and it's in our attitudes.
Stigma and the lack of awareness on the subject of mental health raise our society to be ill and insensitive to mental disorders. Since the beginning of time, proper education of basic care for mental hygiene was unavailable, hence the insufficient understanding for the predominant issue of mental health today. Failure to acknowledge psychological issues are the cause of many societal and individual predicaments, yet nurturance has continued to be deterred. It is crucial that we continue to raise awareness, proper knowledge, empathy, and understanding for our psychological well-being. We not only hope but implore that the topic of mental health be discussed on a larger platform. We want the President and Congress to address this issue in 2021 because our message can only be regarded if it was portrayed as a serious issue.
Society perceived mental health as a weakness in people, didn't like to deny that there were really mental health issues. Some societies even refused to acknowledge within our society that there were mental health problems, not understanding that these are very serious kinds of disorders or behavioral problems that really need kind of an intervention. And they were seen as a very negative thing.
It's an issue that a lot of people struggle with, but no one really talks about. So I think it just makes people feel more alone, and it makes it more difficult for anyone to go through it, especially if it has such a negative stigma around it and it's not taught or seen as normal. So I think that's why it's really important that we normalize not being okay.
As a continuously developing society, it is ideal that we demolish the negative stigma strong with the concept of mental illness. Immediate changes need to be made and it cannot be delayed any further. Ultimately, we aspire to provide the tools necessary to combat psychological issues, starting with a safe and understanding environment. To shed light on the topic of mental hygiene is mandatory. We need to raise awareness and end the spread of false information because in truth, there is no shame in having psychological struggles.
People don't want to, they feel that they're stigmatized if they do, they're looked down upon. Yes, that still is fairly prevalent in our society.
I don't think schools have ever taught anything surrounding mental hygiene. I didn't know what that meant until like 2 years ago. From like my own personal research and own personal experiences, and I think that's one of the biggest issues, that it's not taught. It's something you have to learn with your own experience, and sometimes that learning experience just takes too big of a toll.
Raising awareness, raising the literacy education that people have about mental health and how to, different ways of coping with difficult emotions or difficult situations, starting at a young age and sort of normalizing, giving people some tools would be great. I think that would be great.
Providing people with emotional skills at a very young age is critically important. What do I mean by skills? Well, when you're feeling stressful, it's really important, when you're feeling depressed, right, that you know to reach out to other people, you know to ask for help. That is very hard in a society that stigmatizes mental health.
Our view of mental health needs to change to provide a better environment for developing generations. Some reinforcements we would appreciate to see as our society progresses include incorporating mental health into education system, in other words, providing tools and solutions to help us starting at a younger age. In consequence, we normalize having mental health issues in society and promote the proper way for it to be dealt with. Avoid criminalizing people with mental issues and provide proper assistance, in other words, treat them like a patient, not a criminal. We also need to raise funding for mental health. Funding should go to opening more clinics, training more mental health workers, and providing them more benefits, in addition to improving the accessibility of mental health resources. The cost of seeking help should be covered under health insurance.
as I learned, and it has been reiterated today, that the way we can do that is to talk about it, to bring awareness to it. It's about helping people understand that they're not alone, that the thing that they're feeling, it probably has a name, it certainly has a treatment, and that treatment works, and it's effective, and it can change the way that they live their lives in ways that they probably thought weren't even possible.
Although the amount of resources and literacy for these solutions can be costly and troublesome, providing assistance for mental health causes will benefit our society, creating an understanding atmosphere for the future. Due to the ongoing prejudice against psychological flaws in human nature, we strive to explore the issue of mental health and what our elected leaders could do to help improve the situation. While politicians and individuals can argue over the process of achieving our ideal vision, the need for mental health care should not be up for debate.
We have found when people find our classes and they join our groups, they find a place where they can talk about all the things that they're not able to talk about out in the world. And until we can get out in the world and change it, we will be here providing that support, providing that place to come for anyone who needs it.